So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our ODayTools webinar on Trait Map in Leadership Development. My name is Ildikó Csősz. I'm Head of Business at Valoro Consulting in Hungary. We are one of the partners of ODayTools, and it is a pleasure to be hosting this session. Just a quick note of the agenda. There will be a short introduction on ODayTools and the distributor network. Then we are going to dive into the topic of leadership and personality. Then you will get to know the tool Trait Map itself, and then you will get to be informed about some use cases. And at the end, we are planning a Q&A session as well. Now, I'd like to hand over things over to Gábor Nagy, founder and managing director of ODayTools, who most of you already know well. Over to you, Gábor.
Welcome, everybody, people who are present right now in this webinar and people who are going to watch the recording in the future. It is my pleasure and privilege to introduce the company and be part of this webinar series. So ODayTools, we are developers of psychometric tests and assessments. And we also have 360 feedback tools and also surveys for employee engagement, for team and organizational effectiveness. We develop tools and we are also doing user training and support. And these webinar series are part of this support. How it works is we have a range of topics. You can see it on our website. For each topic, we invite some of the users to share their experience, to share their perspectives. Our company, ODayTools.com Ltd, is a fully virtual company operating globally. And in many countries, we have local distributors who add more localization and more local support for our users. And these are the locations. And today, we'll hear two presentations from two of our distributors. We will have Martinus Tini-Lobzer from New Insight UK. Tini is the founder and CEO of New Insight. He's going to talk about Trait Map, the personality assessment, and he will share a use case. And we will begin with a presentation from Dr. Gerhard van Rensburg, Principal Consultant of New Era Leadership, South Africa. And with that, I give over the stage to Gerhard.
Thank you, Gábor. So I'm sharing then. Happy, everybody?
Yes, thank you, Gerhard.
Okay,
Perfect.
good. So I'm focusing then on the value of the Trait Map assessment for leadership development and take you through a number of slides just to contextualize and explain my insights on this. So I think as far as leadership types and approaches are concerned, that it's helpful to look at the main categories of transformational leadership and transactional leadership as two, let's say, main approaches to leadership and leadership development. So as you can see, there are a number of aspects that that shows different alignments with transformational leadership and transactional leadership, like the approach. In the case of transformational leadership, it is innovative, whereas in transactional leadership, it's more a balance of operations. The interaction in transformational leadership is really personal, as opposed to role-bound. The focus, vision, values, expectations, and context versus control, production, and results. As far as motivation is concerned, it emphasizes, in the case of transformational leadership, volitional activity and emotion, as opposed to formal authority mechanisms. Values that it emphasizes is cooperation, unity, and equality in the case of transformational leadership, and is more just the means to get to an end in the case of transactional leadership. Thinking context typically is global for transformational leadership and local for transactional leadership. And the main direction, and I think this is sums it up actually, and is in the case of transformational leadership, is renewal as opposed to just maintenance. So that's just to give some background and context to it. With the big 5 traits, I found this explanation and by the person on the right there, so that transformational leadership typically is aligned with your extraversion, is associated, is the right word, conscientiousness and openness to experience. And transactional leadership, what fits there is agreeableness. And the last one, neuroticism, is more laissez-faire or hands-off approach, where you can see the alignment between personality and and leadership in terms of approaches or styles. That's just a broad background, but I think I want to come to this, and this is, then obviously more from a transformational leadership perspective. The importance of your interpersonal skills, and this just explains that over time, how it is typical for technical skills that brought you into the job, probably the importance of that for the organization declines, or, generally it is seen as that you need to maintain what at least you've come in with, but not much after that. And then same with management. Once you've got it's under the knee, a few of the key aspects of management, then over time it's less of an important thing for both yourself and your organization. Whereas in interpersonal skills, that is just no limit to the importance of how you develop to improve on your interpersonal skills. And one can we use the word often, and the whole discipline is self-awareness. So leadership and self-awareness just goes hand in hand. The crucial link is that your internal self-awareness, how well you know yourself, needs to be linked with an external self-awareness, how well you understand how others see you. And really those two aspects is just a lifelong journey of, once you've put your mind to it and started to become disciplined in testing how good your self-awareness is and awareness of others, it's a journey for life. And this is where the tools can help us so much. If you go to Trait Map narrative report, the first part that you typically see in your report, a few years ago, I've done it for the first time, and I was just amazed to see the description there and how it mirrored what I know of myself, the social behavior in particular. So I've quoted it and give you just some introduction to it, really. But I must say that it was just exactly what aligned with myself. Professional focus is then another category, being reliable, organized, disciplined, follow through. You can think how all those things relate to leadership. Emotional aspects, being balanced and stress tolerance, openness to new ideas, different cultures, and also under your stress elements, your burnout risk. So you find results for that in your report. And then the next one is to look at work attributes is also a section in the TradeMap report, and there you will have scores 1 to 9 based on your answers in the assessment. And again, I'm highlighting more the leadership-related aspects, which in all cases help you to follow that discipline of knowing myself better and then understanding how other people see me at the same time, and what are my challenges, what are my goals in improving and developing. So it's about leadership orientation. You can see there being confident and decisive, goal-oriented, etc. Reading of people, recognizing their feelings and concerns. Adaptability, being flexible to appropriately adjust. Stress tolerance, your resilience and coping with tense. So an abstract thinking, very important as well for leadership, because it's to do with your ability to strategize and think and analyze the current situation and the gaps. And next slide, part of the report is your collaboration skills. Again, you get 1 to 9. I'm just highlighting some of them. It's not all of it, but it is what I think relates well to looking at your leadership side when you get the report. Confidence and composure, staying calm is typical and important in that role. Proactive communication, reading of people and convincing others, also compromising at a point so that there is a win-win situation. The next one is the negotiation skills report. Also, what you would expect from especially your top leaders to do well. And here you get your results. Also, a score, in other words, indicating how can I improve to become better in this aspect. So it's your preparation, which is so critical for a negotiation, and confidence and composure during the conversation, reading of people again, convincing others, and compromising in the end if there's some stalemate, but to keep positive working relationships and move the negotiation process further. All right, so and I think with that, just to summarize, I think the value of interpersonal skills is what is prominent from my point of view as a leadership coach. And the report is so helpful. It's almost endless in terms of how you can go back and have long and deep discussions with a coachee wanting to improve his or her leadership. Remember that you can only control what you are aware of and what you understand. What you're not aware of controls you. So awareness empowers us. People with accurate self-assessment will typically be aware of it, of their limitations, appreciate feedback and learn from it, and see how the strengths of others complement their own. And once you have those three things really as part of your self-assessment and approach in your leadership, that can only go better and better in terms of how you build teams and lead others. So developing leadership assessments that we use in OD tools, and there are many, but I'm highlighting the TradeMap, one we've discussed, also emotional intelligence and motivation and questionnaire that is critical in building your organization. So with that said, thank you. I think that's my part done.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Gerhard.
much, Gerhard. And Dini, whenever you're ready, please
Perfect.
take over the screen and continue building upon the foundations built by Gerhard about the importance of personality in leadership, and also some of the overviews what trait map can contribute into that picture.
Nice. Could someone just give me a thumbs up when you can see my screen? Perfect. Thank you. Welcome everybody to this webinar. For those of you who are listening, Gerard, thank you very much. Yes, you might pick up that we both have South African accents. I'm based in the UK, Gerard is in South Africa, and we make a formidable team in leadership. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Trait Map, just a high level as to what the report, how we generate the report, where it comes from, just a bit of background on that. But Gabor has got a beautiful technical manual that will give you even a deeper dive and give you the bottom of the iceberg from a details perspective. I've also got a bit of a case study at the back end of where I've applied it in a trust that looks after people with learning disability, and just give you some flavor in that space in a minute. So how is it measured, and how are we using the results? Some of the key features of Trait Map is it's the big five based personality model with 25 traits. It's a forced choice questionnaire, and you can use the reports for recruitment, learning, and leadership development, amongst others. The evolution of the personality models is as it says on the screen. We're sitting under the big five to the right place with Trait Map, looking at openness, consciousness, extroversion, agreeable, neuroticism. And what we're looking at from a Trait Map evolution perspective is the stuff on the right. What would you say would a chemical engineer need out of those traits on the right-hand side? Give me anybody, just shout out. A chemical engineer, which one should be their headline for you if you're measuring a chemical engineer? What attribute or trait do you think that should be standing out for them? Anybody?
Focus.
Focus. Thank you, Kara. And based on focus, it's almost like when you go on a diet, you start with protein and build around it. With a chemical engineer, you focus on you look at focus and you build around that, and all the other traits that come with that get built around that. And lastly, from if we look at a salesperson on an exhibition stand, what trait would be looking for them in that space? Anybody?
Extroversion.
Extroversion. And so there aren't any right or wrong traits. It's related to the situation that you're finding the people in and what you're measuring for that. And so there's a bit of a deeper dive, and where we bring the 25 traits for the Trait Map into the big five attributes based on Trait Map, which offers us a bit of a deeper dive. How we do the assessment when you receive your online link is the ranking of 5 items, and there are no right or wrong answers. It's an orientation on how you feel in that moment, and it offers us a snapshot in that space. Some of the advantages of Trait Map in the questionnaire format, it helps because it's personal to you. It also sometimes bypasses conscious decisions, and we're instinctively answering and ranking the questions that are offered or posed to us. What I love about the report is when we scroll to the end of it, and I always start with my clients when I give them a readback. Let's see how long you took. Let's see where you spent more time from a questioning perspective and where you spent less time. And the overall average of how long you took per question. And 17 minutes, I always tell my clients between 5 and 25 minutes is how long you should take with the Trait Map, but sit in a place where you wouldn't get any distractions. And then I come back to them and we talk around how long it took and what they did within that space. From a competency match perspective, is where we're looking at a job fit. And similar to the questions I asked you as to what should be the focus be for a chemical engineer or for an exhibition sales individual, the orientation should match the sales, the job fit and role match for you. These are some subtitles within the job fit that is helpful in discussion with our clients. And like Gerard, what I use TraitMap for and all of the assessment tools within OD tools are to start a discussion. And it just enriches that discussion for us. When we look at a second application from a development perspective, we look at within the team building, conflict management, presentation skills, or coaching space. These are some typical reports within the whole group of reports you can generate from TraitMap. What I'd like to bring your attention to is that at school we're taught 1 is a poor score and 9 is a great score. With TraitMap, it is left-hand side scores and right-hand side scores. And so sometimes when people see a 1, it's still a very strong orientation towards that. And so those are great discussions to have. And when we look at the report on the right and we look at creativity, which sits in the middle, and it's a left-hand side score, this person seldom generates new and original ideas and doesn't want to. And so they're comfortable in that space. But when you're looking at a creative director in a marketing and digital space, you would need that score to be sitting on the right-hand side, preferably. And so that's the orientation. So it's no right or wrong score, like there is no right or wrong answer. It is the orientation of it from a left-hand side strength and a right-hand side strength perspective. This is also just the whole 25 traits offered up holistically. And I always look at the left-hand side scores versus the right-hand side scores. And in this case, individualism listens to guidance and advice, accepts different points of view. And then on the right-hand side, has a keen sense of obligation, works diligently on a task. This is the person that I want in a project to push the project over the line for me, for instance. So when we look at the left-hand side scores and the right-hand side scores of these assessments, we're helping ourselves have a great discussion as to what's needed right in the minute for this individual. And then we go into, the team styles on the left-hand side, people, ideas, task-orientated. And then we also look at the conflict style report. What I also like to generate in this space is the leadership, which offers up autocratic, visionary, and democratic styles from a leadership perspective. So orientated towards that and putting those 3 things together also gives us a nice, well-rounded picture of the individual that we're having the conversation with. And then just from a sales competency perspective, in our specialty sales arena that we also play in here in the UK, I have got Sales Map, which I also use in conjunction with this part of the TraitMap to complement each other in the discussions I'm having with some of my clients. And then this is just a group report piece. I love the people-orientated piece, the top right-hand one, as well as the leadership-orientated piece sitting right in the center, just to map a group of leaders or aspiring leaders which are sitting in a leadership academy, potentially, where you're looking for talent to help us in that direction. So the next piece that I want to share with you is just the trust that I'm working in at the minute that looks after people with learning disability, and then the people that then support them, and then the leaders that run that trust, what we've done just from a high level case study perspective. And so the vision was looking at it from a, employing leaders with lived experience. Are they values led and are they future ready? And is it a great leadership community? And how are they delivering great lives for people with learning disabilities? And so how we orientated this was creating a understanding of what the challenges were that we were facing. You know, there's so many things happening in the social care industry, and so there's change fatigue. You know, their core values get put under pressure on a daily basis, and doing the right thing orientation. Are they future ready? Are they embracing digital and AI? And how are they integrating and adapting that in their business? And what does the workforce sustainability look like? And there are a lot of people on the higher side of the age demographic, and how are we generating positions for new individuals coming into the care industry, especially in this trust. And so those were things that we were thinking about as to how do we solve for that. And so we came up with a leadership model with the trust right in the center of it, looking at inclusive and experiential leadership, looking at human-centered reflections and adapted future-focused growth. These were the elements that we put in place to roll out this leadership development and leadership academy for them. How we did it was we created benchmark assessments using TraitMap, EQ SWOT, and leadership competencies. And Gerard, to your point earlier, self-awareness, interpersonal skills, added to that, willingness for learning and coaching were key elements that helped us generate the discussions we needed using TraitMap and EQ SWOT. So all of those things kind of fit into the rollout that we've done. And some of the outcomes, as you can see, smiling people on the screen, feeling supported by stability, becoming more innovative, embracing and empowering others. And that's kind of it from me. This is a statement that they came up with, that they were aspiring for. And so I know that was kind of like a speedy, high-level offering of TraitMap and a little bit of a case study that we used. And thank you for your time. I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over back to Gerard. To Gabor, I think.
Yes, thank you very much. Just a question, Tini. Can you recall any interesting or some kind of insight, a bit more going into detail on a personal level, of course, not telling who was the person and so on. If you can share it in this place that came out from using TraitMap and personality.
Yes. So when we look at people with learning disabilities or lived experience, that the trust focuses on employing as well as supporting. When you have people with learning disabilities in the leadership space, you want to avoid tokenism in that space. And so we need to help with decision making. We need to help with contribution during discussions. We need to facilitate people representing themselves in an emotionally intelligent way. And so what we did was I would say that we were like out of a group of 10 leadership or aspirational leaders, there were about 2 that had a learning disability that had lived experience. And so what we did was we assessed everybody equally, and we had a group discussion, and then we had individual feedback that we gave each of them. And as you know, some people with lived experience are very acutely focused, cross the T's, dot the I's, want things to be safe, want things to be precise, don't like change. And so how do we have conversations in that space with them due to the agility of the business? And so making them familiar with what changes are coming, let them contribute to what they think will help those changes for others with learning disability, and having those collaborative discussions created cohesion. And so it then didn't put the whole leadership team under strain because we needed to over-consider people with learning disability. It still became a collaborative, cohesive, and cooperative approach that we then did in that space for them.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, because when it comes to personality, it's somehow democratic or egalitarian, especially in the TraitMap system, because there's no right and wrong, and nobody has all scores up and nobody has all scores low. everybody will have strengths and weaknesses, and there's no labeling, because there is no real qualitative uh, judgment
Yeah.
flowing out of personality, because what matters is how we manage our personality, how we use it, and are we aware of our personality or not aware, and then we are just following a map that doesn't have the undercurrents, and or the map that doesn't show the rocks that may hit our ship. And I
Yeah.
think when we have a trait map, then we understand the currents that bring us, or that have our inclinations, and we can maybe change, or if not change, but we at least we see that our certain preferences and inclinations are not coming from the universe, but it is our own um, proclivities and inclinations.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
so just to add to what you're saying, what I found with the group was that they preferred language that was emotionally intelligent. And so what we used was strengths and limitations. We used left-hand scored and right-hand scores. We spoke practically to them in that space, uh, just so that they orientate towards that language for themselves. And so EQ SWOT was also a great complement to help with the emotional element of trait map. So what we did is we kind of overlapped all our discussions within that space for them, and then also slowed ourselves down a little bit, so that we can meet them where they are. To your point, you it's what are you orientated towards, and be comfortable in that space of who you are.
Thank you very much. And my part will be a story. I'm going to show you a group report, parts of a group report, and a few individual profiles that are coming from the same group and the same team, to see how these things really play out in the practice of leadership. And I will omit a few things from the story, like the client name, and I changed every name on the reports to keep confidentiality. But the story is true. So um, I was contacted by a general manager of a manufacturing company. This company has global locations of factories, not too many. They are the number one in their field globally, and they are producing, and I don't say very specifically, but producing um, metal parts that are extremely light and very durable and very precise for airspace and aviation industries. And they have huge machines, but they have to produce very precise end products. So that's the background. And the general manager is new in the company and coming from another industry. However, very seasoned, experienced general manager. And he is worried that his team has high flight risk, because the factory is in a relatively small place where it's hard to attract talent. And also in this industry, to really become effective in the manufacturing, you need a long learning curve. So he is coming, he is new, and he feels and he's told that this team is not steady. And because of MQ, he found our company, and I got involved. And the first thing that we did was actually a workshop on motivation how to do stay interviews instead of exit interviews using MQ. That's another product, and I'm not going to go very deep in this because the story leads to elsewhere. Because it turned out that actually the team is steady. The MQ did not flag, only with one person flag high leaving risk, but that's it. The team was steady. However, working with the team, doing the first workshop with them, surfaced other issues. And that's when the workshop was successful. So they saw that there are other issues that they want to work on, and that's how TradeMap came into the picture. So the second workshop was on the group dynamics of this leadership team, and about conflict management. I want to show you first the group report of this team. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. Yeah. Just to show them their conflict style tendencies. And even if you don't know the people who are represented by these initials and by these blue dots, but if you see this picture, what's your feeling? What is going on in this team? You have a certain kind of feeling, right?
There are many ideas happening.
Yeah. So,
But I think
yeah. Gerhard, please.
they probably avoid the tough and honest conversation, in the sense that I'm looking at the block collaborating, of course. So
Yes, which is very empty. No, it doesn't mean that nobody here knows how to collaborate. They are all department managers. They are all leaders and experienced leaders, not new leaders. We know how to collaborate. Everybody knows how to collaborate. However, under pressure, when there is no time and so on, we may default into some of our conflict styles. Personality take over. We are on autopilot, and we may be not doing our best version. And then certain dynamic happens, and yes, there were conflicts among people, especially on this side. And there were some people who got disengaged from this because people in the accommodating group, for them, it's very hard to understand why the fight is going on. So the team did not have a good team atmosphere and team spirit. And I show you one more. This is the team role distribution in this team. Now, not going too much into the details, but you can see that the highest average they have on the evaluator role, and you can see people. So they are very logical, analytic, and critical. And it's a very technical team, so very technical industry, so somewhat logical as well. And you have promoter as the lowest score. And promoter is also about communication and about kind of team spirit, gung ho, we're all together. We lighten up a little bit each other's day. And the human touch is very much promoter and the helper coming from there. And yeah, so this is something about the style of this team. And that's why, because they're very analytical, showing them such data is so transformational. And before they did buildings and outings and things like this, but they did not have such a deep analysis on their team and on themselves. And this was a very important piece of the change that happened in this team. And I want to show you two more profiles. So this is 25 traits, and it's a little bit hard to take in very quickly. But just you can see the drive, methodicalness, being very systematic, detail concern, dutifulness, deliberation is very high, and individualism, establishing firm views, sticking to them, resisting group pressure is also high. While persuasiveness, alignment, networking are low for this manager. This manager is the maintenance manager. And with these machines, maintenance is very important. And then the other one shown you is, where is Kevin? Kevin. Oh, this is Kevin. Sorry, Peter. Peter. I need Peter. Yeah, Peter. Because that was the main conflict line between these two persons. Peter was not Peter, not the real name. He is the production manager. And again, with these huge machines, how to fine-tune them, you need to fine-tune them almost as a guitar or an organ. Like it's really lots of experience and not easy, very, very difficult. So if you see, also confidence is low, persuasion alignment low. Again, not a very communicative person, but look, individualism, 8, competitiveness, 9, and also the focus traits, and which are very suitable for this position. However, having again these stick view, so you can see, right, how personality is kind of influencing them to have the conflict. And not to bring it to the end is when people realize that they have these tendencies, it's not that they can change from today to tomorrow, but they gain awareness. And they start to entertain the possibility that the way they see the world is very much filtered through their filters, and that there might be another way, that the other person has also good points, and also they see that my communication skills, the lack of them, is also contributing to this problem. So it generates empathy, it generates the ability to see ourselves from the outside and see ourselves from the perspective of the other. So in the next conflict management workshop, we did role plays where they switched roles and they had to play each other. But to be able to do that, to have the trait map reports, to have individual conversation before this workshop with everybody from the team, to really prepare them, to give them the awareness was crucial. And just one more thing, because the second workshop was continued to the third and to the fourth. And the third one, the topic was delegation and coaching others. Because health management, you can see very low. When the machine has any problem, 2 a.m., you have to get out the bed and go and fine tune and things like this. And you can almost see that from this profile, this person is not a natural coach and not a natural person who is delegating. With optimism, 1, right? And then with individualism, 8, and being very much detail concerned and dutiful and things like this. So, just wanted to show you a few reports that and show the connection between the report and what happens to people. And to have a positive change, awareness is the first step. So at last, I want to summarize with exactly what Gerhard was saying, but with the words of Carl Jung, who expressed the same idea. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So, thank you. This was the story.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jakob.
We have very
Thank you,
limited time, maybe just
Yeah.
for 1 or 2 questions. Ildiko?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell the same, that if there are any questions now, then the questions are welcomed. You can tell it or write it in the chat. It's also good.
Okay, let me ask something. About that role play that you've done with them.
Yeah.
And how did you experience it? Did it really work? Could people put themselves in another person's role? How effective was that?
It was hilarious. People laughed so much. And some did better, some worse. So, for example, the maintenance manager didn't do well in the role play, but he saw himself also. He understood his limitation in communication skills so much that he could not do a good role play. But that was also important for him to realize.
Yeah.
So very powerful method.
The atmosphere. It relaxes the atmosphere when you do that type of thing, and it's and some things will stick going forward, others not, but it can be a breakthrough, in an individual's view of his work colleagues, etc. So yeah.
Thank you. Great question. And also, we have done it on day 2. So it was again 2 days workshop, and for such a role play, it's good to gain some momentum. So, to do it at the very beginning is a very daring move. We can work out, but very risky, I think. Having the second workshop on day 2 already flew very well.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay, then thank you very much. And if there are no more questions, I think this is time to close our webinar. So thank you all for joining us today in our Audit Tools webinar on Trait Map in Leadership Development. We really, truly appreciate your time and interest. And I think all of us are looking forward to continuing these sessions in the future. So see you next time.